Beloved brethren, God's presence in your struggles is not something distant or reserved for people who have everything together. It is closest, most real, and most powerful right in the middle of your pain, confusion, and uncertainty. The Bible reminds us in Psalm 34 that the Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit, which means that the very moment you feel like you're falling apart may actually be the moment He is holding you the closest, even if your emotions cannot recognize it and your circumstances seem to argue against it. There are seasons in life when everything feels heavy, when prayers feel like they are hitting the ceiling, and when silence makes you question whether God is listening at all. Yet Scripture consistently shows that God does some of His deepest work in hidden places, in waiting seasons, and in moments where faith is stretched beyond comfort. Think about the story in Book of Job, where suffering did not mean abandonment, but became a place where God's presence was revealed in a deeper and more powerful way than ever before, even though it didn't feel like it at the time. Sometimes we expect God's presence to look like immediate rescue, instant answers, or visible miracles, but often His presence shows up as quiet strength that keeps you going when you should have given up, as peace that doesn't make logical sense, and as endurance that carries you one step further than you thought possible. In Isaiah 41, God says not to fear because He is with you, and promises to strengthen and uphold you, not necessarily remove every hardship instantly, but walk with you through it in a way that transforms you from the inside out. What makes this truth even more powerful is that God's presence is not dependent on your performance, your faith level, or your ability to stay strong, because even when your faith feels weak, He remains faithful. The message of Hebrews 13 reminds us that He will never leave nor forsake you, which means that even in moments when you feel spiritually distant, distracted, or overwhelmed, His commitment to you has not changed, and His presence has not moved an inch away from where you are. So when you are in the middle of your struggle, when your heart feels tired and your mind is filled with questions, understand that God is not watching from afar, but walking within your situation, closer than your breath, aware of every tear, every thought, and every silent cry you haven't even put into words yet, working in ways you cannot see, shaping something within you that will one day make sense, and holding you steady even when everything around you feels like it is shaking. God often speaks in ways that are completely opposite to what we expect, because while the world trains us to look for loud signs, dramatic moments, and undeniable displays of power, Scripture gently redirects our attention to something quieter, deeper, and more personal. In 1 Kings 19, the prophet Elijah encounters wind, earthquake, and fire. Yet God was not in any of those overwhelming events, but instead revealed Himself through a still small voice, reminding us that His presence is not always found in the noise, but in the calm that requires us to slow down enough to notice. In today's world filled with constant distractions, endless scrolling, and overwhelming noise from every direction, it becomes easy to miss the subtle ways God is trying to speak into our lives, not because He is silent, but because our attention is divided. The truth is that God's voice often comes as a quiet nudge in your heart, a gentle conviction, or a deep sense of peace that settles within you, something that aligns with His word and draws you closer to Him rather than pushing you into fear or confusion. Stillness is not just the absence of sound, it is a posture of the heart, a willingness to pause, to breathe, and to become aware of God's presence in a deeper way. In Psalm 46, the command to be still and know that He is God is not merely an invitation, but a call to trust, to release control, and to step out of the chaos of our own thoughts so we can recognize that God is already near and already at work, even when everything around us feels uncertain. What makes this even more meaningful is that God does not compete with the noise in your life. He waits for your attention, not out of distance, but out of respect for your willingness to listen. When you create space, even in small moments of your day, whether through prayer, reflection, or quiet time, you begin to notice that He has been speaking all along, guiding your steps, correcting your path, and comforting your heart in ways that are easy to overlook when life feels rushed and overwhelming. So if you feel like you haven't heard from God, it may not be because He has stopped speaking, but because He is inviting you into a deeper place of stillness, where His voice becomes clearer, calmer, and more personal. A place where fear loses its grip, distractions fade away, and you begin to recognize that His guidance has been there all along, gently leading you forward, even when you didn't realize it. Your current situation, no matter how overwhelming or discouraging it may feel, is not the conclusion of your life story, but only a chapter that God is still writing with purpose and intention. The Bible consistently shows that what looks like an ending is often the beginning of something greater, and in Jeremiah 29 we are reminded that God's plans are filled with hope and a future, even when the present moment feels uncertain, delayed, or filled with unanswered questions that make it hard to see beyond what is right in front of you. There are moments when life seems to pause in a place you never expected, where progress feels slow, doors seem closed, and the path ahead appears unclear, yet these seasons are not wasted in God's hands. Throughout Scripture, we see that God often uses waiting periods, hardships, and unexpected detours to prepare something deeper within us, shaping our character, strengthening our faith, and aligning us with a purpose that we could not have fully understood if everything had gone according to our own plans. If you look at the life found in Genesis 37 through the story of Joseph, you will see a powerful reminder that betrayal, setbacks, and delays do not cancel God's promises, but can actually become part of the process that leads to their fulfillment. What others meant for harm, God was working together for good, and what looked like a downward spiral was actually positioning him for something far greater than he could have imagined at the time. It is easy to believe that what you are experiencing right now defines your future, especially when the struggle has lasted longer than expected or when disappointment has become familiar, but God's perspective is not limited by time or circumstance. In Romans 8, we are reminded that all things work together for good for those who love God, which means that even the parts of your story that feel broken, confusing, or painful are not beyond His ability to redeem and transform into something meaningful and purposeful. So even if today feels heavy, even if the road ahead looks uncertain, and even if you cannot yet see how things will come together, hold on to the truth that God is still writing your story, still moving behind the scenes, still opening doors you cannot yet see, and still turning what feels like an ending into a new beginning that will one day reveal just how present He was in every moment you thought you were alone. God does not wait for you to become strong before He begins to use your life. In fact, He often chooses to work most powerfully through the very places where you feel weakest, most uncertain, and most unqualified. What you see as limitation, God sees as an opportunity to reveal His strength. And throughout Scripture, we are reminded that His power is made perfect in weakness, a truth that shifts the way we understand our struggles and our value in His plan. In 2 Corinthians 12, the Apostle Paul speaks about his own weakness and how instead of removing it, God responded by saying that His grace is sufficient and His power is perfected in weakness, which reveals something deeply important about how God works. Rather than eliminating every struggle, He often allows certain challenges to remain so that His strength becomes more visible, more real, and more undeniable through our lives. This means that the areas of your life you try to hide, the insecurities you wish would disappear, and the struggles you think disqualify you are not obstacles to God's purpose but instruments He can use. Where you feel inadequate, He provides grace, and where you feel empty, He fills the gap with His presence, creating a testimony that points not to your ability, but to His faithfulness. When you look throughout the Bible, you will notice a consistent pattern of God choosing people who did not appear strong by human standards, people who doubted, struggled, and questioned their own calling. In Exodus 4, Moses expressed his fear and insecurity about speaking, yet God still chose him to lead an entire nation, not because Moses was confident, but because God's power would be revealed through his obedience despite his weakness. There is something deeply freeing about understanding that you do not have to carry the weight of being perfect, because God never asked you to rely on your own strength in the first place. When you release the pressure to have everything together, you create space for God to move in ways that go beyond what you could accomplish on your own, allowing His strength to sustain you in moments where you would otherwise feel like giving up. Even in moments of failure, when you feel like you have fallen short or made mistakes that cannot be undone, God's ability to redeem remains unchanged. The story in John 21 shows how Peter, after denying Jesus, was not rejected but restored and given purpose again, demonstrating that weakness and failure do not have the final say when God's grace is involved. Your weakness also becomes a place where humility is formed, and humility creates a deeper dependence on God that strengthens your relationship with Him in a way that success alone never could. When you recognize your need for Him, you begin to lean on Him more fully, trust Him more deeply, and walk with a greater awareness of His presence in every part of your life. In 1 Corinthians 1, we are reminded that God often chooses what the world considers weak to shame what is strong, not to humiliate, but to redefine what true strength looks like. True strength is not found in self-sufficiency, but in surrender, not in having all the answers, but in trusting the one who does. What feels like weakness today may one day become the very testimony that encourages someone else, because when people see how God carried you through something you could not handle on your own, it becomes evidence of His reality and His power. Your story, shaped by both struggle and grace, has the ability to reach hearts in ways that perfection never could. So instead of resisting your weakness or seeing it as something that holds you back, begin to see it through a different lens, as a place where God is actively working, shaping, strengthening, and revealing His glory in your life in ways that go beyond your understanding, using every fragile part of your journey to display a strength that could only come from Him. You are deeply loved in a way that goes beyond human understanding, a love that is not based on your performance, your achievements, or your ability to always do the right thing, but a love that is rooted in who God is and not in who you are on your best or worst days. The Bible reminds us in Romans 8 that nothing can separate us from the love of God, which means that even in moments when you feel distant, unworthy, or forgotten, His love remains constant, unshaken, and fully present in your life. This love is not distant or general, it is personal and intentional, directed toward you as an individual with a purpose and identity that was formed long before you were aware of it. In Jeremiah 1, we are reminded that God knew you before you were formed, which means your existence is not accidental and your life is not random, but carefully seen, known, and valued by the one who created you. To be chosen by God does not mean that life will be easy or free from hardship, but it does mean that your life carries meaning and direction even when circumstances feel confusing or painful. Throughout Scripture, those who were chosen often walked through difficult paths, yet God's presence remained with them, guiding them through every challenge and shaping something greater within them through the process. In Ephesians 1, we are told that we are chosen before the foundation of the world, a truth that speaks to the depth and intentionality of God's plan for your life. This means that your worth is not something you earn over time, but something that has already been established, something that cannot be taken away by failure, rejection, or doubt. Sometimes it becomes difficult to believe that you are truly loved and chosen when life does not unfold the way you expected, when prayers seem unanswered, or when you face rejection from others. Yet God's love is not measured by circumstances, but by His character, and His character is unchanging, faithful, and consistent even when everything around you feels uncertain. In Psalm 139, we are reminded that God knows every detail about us, our thoughts, our actions, and even the words we have not yet spoken. Yet His knowledge does not lead to rejection, but to a deeper expression of love. To be fully known and still fully loved is something that only God can offer, and it is a truth that invites you to rest rather than strive for acceptance. Being chosen also means that your life has purpose, even if you have not fully discovered it yet, and even if your journey feels unclear. God does not choose without intention, and every step you take, even the uncertain ones, are part of a larger story that He is unfolding with care and precision, guiding you in ways that you may only understand in hindsight. In 1 Peter 2, we are called a chosen people, a royal priesthood, which speaks to identity and belonging. This means that you are not overlooked, not insignificant, and not forgotten, but part of something meaningful, something that carries value and purpose beyond what the world may define. God's love also meets you in your brokenness, not after you have fixed everything, but right in the middle of your struggles. He does not wait for you to become whole before drawing near to you, but instead, His love becomes the very thing that begins to heal, restore, and rebuild what feels damaged or incomplete within you. In Zephaniah 3, we see a beautiful image of God rejoicing over His people with singing, a reminder that His love is not distant or passive, but active and expressive. It is a love that delights in you, not because you are perfect, but because you belong to Him. There may be voices in your life, whether from others or from your own thoughts, that try to convince you that you are not enough, that you are overlooked, or that you have to prove your worth. But God's voice speaks differently, reminding you that you are already accepted, already valued, and already loved beyond measure. In John 15, Jesus reminds us that we did not choose Him, but He chose us, a statement that shifts the foundation of our identity. It means that your relationship with God is not built on your effort to reach Him, but on His decision to reach you, to call you, and to draw you close. Even when you feel like you have wandered or lost your way, God's love continues to pursue you, gently calling you back, not with condemnation, but with grace. His desire is not to push you away, but to restore you, to remind you of who you are, and to bring you back into the fullness of His presence. In Isaiah 43, God speaks with deep reassurance, saying that you are precious in His sight and honored, a truth that stands in contrast to the way the world often measures value. Your worth is not determined by success, approval, or comparison, but by the One who created you and calls you His own. So no matter where you are right now, no matter what you are facing or feeling, hold on to this truth with everything you have, that you are deeply loved, intentionally chosen, and never forgotten, and that this love is not something fragile or temporary, but something eternal, unchanging, and strong enough to carry you through every season of your life with hope, purpose, and peace.